An awe-inspiring display of respect and gratitude. This morning, the world honors late Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
She did so much to pave the way for women, all women.
As just the second woman ever named to the High Court, she leaves behind a legacy of justice, equality, and inspiration.
We need to honor what she has left for us, and for us to not give up hope, and to pick up the legacy she's blessed us with.
Good morning. Thanks for joining us on Denver7 News at 11. I'm Molly Hendrickson. Memorial services begin today for late Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. She lost her repeated battle with cancer Friday. And you are looking live at the U.S. Supreme Court, where Ginsburg will lie in repose for the next 2 days. This morning, family, close friends, and the justices took part in a private ceremony in the court's Great Hall. Then Justice Ginsburg's former law clerks, who served as honorary pallbearers, moved her casket under the portico at the top of the building's front steps for a public viewing. Thousands are expected to pay their respects today and tomorrow. Justice Ginsburg's death prompted a major political battle over the court. President Trump is set to name his nominee to replace her this weekend. ABC's Andrew Dimbert is at the Supreme Court this morning with the latest as Democrats try to stave off a conservative replacement on the court.
Her former law clerks lining the steps of the Supreme Court, where Ruth Bader Ginsburg served for 27 years as her coffin arrived for her memorial service. Inside, the 8 remaining justices together for the first time since the COVID-19 pandemic to honor the second woman elevated to the High Court.
Of course, she will live on in what she did to improve the law and the lives of all of us. And yet, still, Ruth is gone, and we grieve.
Justice Ginsburg's death has added even more drama to an already tense and chaotic race for the White House. President Trump and Senate Republicans now set to forge ahead with plans to replace the liberal justice with just over a month to go before the election, despite claiming in 2016 that it was too close to Election Day when President Obama sought to replace the late Antonin Scalia almost 9 months before voters went to the polls. Now, Republicans insist this time it's different because the same party controls both the Senate and the White House.
I can only repeat that we have an obligation under the Constitution, should we choose to take advantage of it, to fill the vacancy.
Democrats accusing the GOP of hypocrisy.
The Republican majority will have stolen 2 Supreme Court seats, 4 years apart, using completely contradictory rationales.
And with the latest ABC News Washington Post poll showing a tight race in Arizona and Florida, both states Trump won in 2016, the president and his supporters have seized on the issue of the court.
I will soon be announcing that nominee. You're going to love it. You're going to be so happy. If you don't love it, don't vote for me.
Crossing the aisle less than 2 months before Election Day to support Joe Biden, Cindy McCain, widow of Republican Senator John McCain from the battleground state of Arizona.
Joe Biden represents to me the kinds of values and integrity and courage that we want in a president.
And Ginsburg's casket will be in public view here for the next 2 days. President Trump says that he will pay his respects to the late justice tomorrow at the Supreme Court. And then on Friday, she will lie in state at the Capitol, the first ever woman to do so, and only the second Supreme Court justice to have that honor bestowed since William Howard Taft. Andrew Dimbert, ABC News, the Supreme Court.
We want to give you another live look at the U.S. Supreme Court, where Justice Ginsburg is lying in repose right now. Funeral services will be held next week before a private burial alongside her husband in Arlington National Cemetery. In Kentucky, the city of Louisville is under a state of emergency as leaders prepare to announce decisions on possible charges for the officers involved in the killing of Breonna Taylor. Kentucky's Attorney General says he will announce his decision today after the grand jury presents its findings. The mayor is preparing for protests to turn violent.
Don't have a situation where there are charges brought against those cops, then you don't start the process, the real process towards justice for Breonna Taylor.
We expect that announcement on possible charges to come down at 11:30 this morning, and we will carry it live on our Denver7 Facebook page and on thedenverchannel.com. Today, a heartbroken brother is expected to arrive in Colorado to start the search for his younger sister. Suzanne Morphy disappeared on Mother's Day. Her husband says she went for a bike ride near Salida and never came home. Andrew Mormon, Suzanne's brother, believes she was killed.
My sister was murdered, and she was hidden within a 3.5-hour window. So that I can draw a circle on a map and tell you that she's within that circle. And that's what I know happened.
Mormon plans to meet with the Colorado Bureau of Investigation and the Sheriff's Office today. He is also organizing a 6-day search in the Salida area starting tomorrow, and he needs volunteers.
The thing that I need more than anything is boots on the ground. So searchers is what I'm after, particularly people that are professional, that have done this before. I'll take anyone though. I mean, I'm not discounting anybody. There'll be something for everybody to do.
To volunteer for the search, go to profilingevil.com, and there is a button there to sign up. It is a beautiful start to our Wednesday here in the Metro. Let's get to Stacey Donaldson from her home weather center. Stacey, it is almost perfect out there right now, especially since that haze has cleared up a little bit.
It has cleared up a little bit, but we are anticipating the winds will shift later this afternoon and usher in more smoke. So we do have an air quality warning in effect through 4 o'clock this afternoon. And so just keep that in mind. We've had these air quality warnings for weeks now as the smoke continues to affect the Front Range and northern Colorado. We also have a high fire danger red flag warning in effect up toward Craig and into Wyoming. So it's going to be hot and breezy up that direction. But you can see the wildfire smoke now is heaviest off towards Sterling and Akron, and we have a coating of smoke here across the Denver metro area, which we're anticipating will become a little more thick later this afternoon. Temperatures in the low to mid 70s right now, very comfortable outside. We have temperatures in the 50s and 60s for the higher elevations and 70s out west. We're expecting a high of 87 degrees today. It will be warm and hazy, and this warm, hazy weather is going to stick around a little bit here over the next few days. We'll have 86 in Littleton, 85 in Aurora with mostly sunny skies and those hazy conditions. But we'll talk more about the weekend forecast. There's a few changes showing up on the 7-day forecast that I think you'll like, and we'll talk about that coming up a little later.
All right, we'll see you then. Thank you, Stacey. Today, students at CU Boulder are taking all classes online in an effort to turn around the rate of spiking cases of coronavirus among students and staff. Remote learning can happen from anywhere with internet access, and now many students are considering breaking their expensive leases and moving somewhere with fewer restrictions. We talked to a senior in the engineering school. He and his roommates want to ditch their $5,000 a month lease and move somewhere cheaper.
Most of us are from Colorado, so we're thinking, and our parents kind of live somewhere else, so we're thinking maybe congregate at one of our houses kind of further away, don't pay rent, or maybe take this lease money, go to maybe Denver.
Getting out of a lease isn't so easy. Attorneys we talked to say the first step is looking for any outs in your lease. If you live on campus, read the housing agreement. Next, reach out to your landlord and tell them what's going on with you personally. Don't assume they know.
It's a strange world we live in today, particularly with landlord-tenant relationships because of the circumstances that appear to be changing daily with the new quarantines and the statewide restrictions.
So whatever you do, don't stop paying your rent until you have an agreement with your landlord. Try to work out a deal to have someone else take over your lease. Losing out on your deposit will be far less expensive than court fees if your landlord decides to sue. And we spoke with some business owners in Boulder who say they're worried a larger outbreak in the county could impact them and cause another shutdown.
If they're willing to consider what this means outside of the campus world and what kind of impact that it has on small businesses, maybe they'll be a little bit smarter about what they're doing.
Roughly 1 in every 5 cases in Colorado last week was from Boulder County. A vast majority of those were students. Today is the new deadline for middle and high school students in Denver to decide if they want to return to in-person classes or go 100% remote. Over the next 2 weeks, kindergarten and first grade students will return to in-person learning. Students in 2nd to 12th grades return to in-person learning on October 21st. Middle and high school students will have a mix of classes of in-person and remote.
We have some schools, for example, that are scheduling classes on an AM and a PM basis, and students would come to school in the morning and not in the afternoon, and then flip-flop, another group would come in the afternoon and not in the morning, with some virtual classes in the opposite times.
Lots of shuffling going on. So far, about 30% of students are choosing to stay remote. The deadline for the census count is currently 1 week away, depending on the outcome of a lawsuit. Between self-reporting and workers going door to door, Colorado is about 95% counted.
We just need to get that last 5% of households, and that's based on the number of housing units in Colorado. That includes freestanding homes and apartments. Those are the tricky ones. And then college campuses, prisons, things like that.
The census determines how much money Colorado gets for federal programs. The census could also decide if Colorado gets another seat in the U.S. House of Representatives. Colorado got a 7th seat in the House after the 2000 census.